Beloved friends, today I stand before you with a message that is not born out of fear, not rooted in confusion, but anchored in divine anticipation. God is calling you into a new season. This is not a poetic phrase meant to stir emotions for a moment and then fade away. It is a spiritual reality unfolding even now. Heaven is not silent about your future. God is not distant from your journey. He is calling, and his call carries purpose, direction, and urgency. The call of God always signals movement. It means something is about to change, something is about to shift, something is about to be required, and something is about to be required, and something is about to be released. Every season in life has a divine assignment. There are seasons of planting, seasons of waiting, seasons of pruning, seasons of harvest, and seasons of rest. The danger is not in change itself, but in failing to discern the season you are in. Many people miss what God is doing not because God did not speak, but because they were preparing for yesterday while God was announcing tomorrow. When God calls you into a new season, He is not merely changing your surroundings. He is developing your capacity. He is stretching your faith, deepening your character, and expanding your vision. This new season will not look like the last one. What sustained you before may not sustain you now. The methods that worked in a previous season may not be effective in the next. God often disrupts familiarity to introduce growth. Comfort zones can become prisons when God is trying to promote you. When God says, prepare for what's next, He is inviting you to partner with Him intentionally. Preparation is proof of expectation. Those who truly believe God is moving begin to align their minds, habits, relationships, and priorities accordingly. Preparation is rarely convenient. It often requires letting go before you understand what you are receiving. God may ask you to release people, routines, and even dreams that once made sense. This does not mean they were wrong. It means they were seasonal. Not everything God gives you is permanent. Some things are tools for a moment, bridges to a future, or lessons for maturity. Discernment is needed so you do not carry unnecessary weight into a new season. What God is about to do requires agility, obedience, and trust. There are some who feel a holy restlessness in their spirit. You cannot explain it, but you know you cannot stay where you are. What once fulfilled you now feels incomplete. What once energized you now feels heavy. This is not dissatisfaction. This is divine disruption. God often stirs discomfort to awaken destiny. When He is about to shift you, He first shifts your appetite. You begin to hunger for more, not more things, but more meaning, more depth, more alignment with His will. In this new season, God is calling you to mature spiritually. Emotional reactions will no longer be sufficient. Surface-level faith will not sustain you. You are being invited into deeper intimacy, deeper obedience, and deeper understanding. God is not looking for perfection, but He is looking for surrender. He is not asking you to know everything, but He is asking you to trust Him in everything. Faith in a new season often looks like obedience without full explanation. God is also calling you to prepare internally. External success without internal alignment leads to collapse. Before God elevates you publicly, He develops you privately. The preparation season is often hidden, quiet, and misunderstood. People may not see what God is doing in you, but that does not mean nothing is happening. Roots grow in darkness. Strength is built in resistance. Character is refined in pressure. Do not despise the preparation stage because what God is building in you now will sustain what He releases through you later. This new season will require courage. God may call you to step into unfamiliar territory. You may feel unqualified, underprepared, or uncertain. But God has never waited for human confidence to accomplish divine purpose. He works through yielded hearts. When He calls, He also equips. When He sends, He also sustains. The same God who brought you through the last season will walk with you into the next. You are not alone. Even when the path feels unfamiliar, there are some doors that will close in this season. Do not grieve every ending. Some closures are divine protection. God closes doors. You are too emotionally attached to shut yourself. Trust His wisdom. If He removes something, it is because it cannot go where you are going. Loss in one season often becomes clarity in the next. God sees the whole picture while you see only a moment. Trust His timing and His choices. At the same time, God will open new doors, opportunities you did not anticipate, connections you did not plan, assignments you did not imagine. Stay spiritually alert. Not every opportunity is from God, but every God-ordained opportunity will require faith. Discernment will be essential. Prayer will be non-negotiable. Obedience will be costly, but disobedience will cost more. The voice of God must become louder than the opinions of people. In this new season, God is also calling you to heal. You cannot carry unresolved wounds into a new assignment. Pain that is ignored will eventually interfere with purpose. God does not expose wounds to shame you. He exposes them to heal you. Healing is not weakness, it is preparation. Forgiveness is not approval of what hurt you. It is release from what binds you. As God prepares you for what's next, He is also restoring what was broken within you. You are being called to a season of greater responsibility. Greater anointing brings greater accountability. Greater influence requires greater humility. God is not just blessing you for your benefit. He is positioning you to be a blessing to others. Your obedience will impact lives you may never meet. Your faithfulness will open doors for generations after you. This is bigger than you, and that is why preparation is necessary. Do not rush the process. God's timing is intentional. Delays are not denials. Waiting seasons are not wasted seasons. While you wait, worship. While you wait, learn. While you wait, grow. Preparation often feels slow, but it is thorough. God is not in a hurry because He is committed to doing it right. Trust the pace of His process. There will be moments in this new season when you are tempted to doubt yourself. Silence does not mean absence. God may not always speak loudly, but He is always present. Learn to trust what He said, even when you cannot feel Him. Faith matures when it no longer depends on constant reassurance. Stand on His promises, anchor yourself in His word, remember what He has already brought you through. God is also calling you to let go of fear. Fear paralyzes purpose. Fear distorts vision. Fear convinces you to settle for less than God's best. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is obedience in spite of it. When God says, prepare for what's next, He is saying, move forward. Even if your knees are shaking, His strength is made perfect in your weakness. This new season will require alignment. Some relationships will need to shift. Some conversations will need to happen. Some boundaries will need to be established. Alignment is not about isolation. It is about positioning. God connects you with people who sharpen your faith, not drain it. Community matters. Covering matters. Accountability matters. Do not walk into a new season surrounded by voices that pull you back into the old one. Expect resistance. Growth always attracts opposition. Do not interpret resistance as a sign you are on the wrong path. Often it is confirmation that you are moving forward. The enemy does not fight what is not a threat. Stay focused. Stay prayerful. Stay obedient. What God has spoken will come to pass. Finally, understand this. God is faithful. He does not call without intention. He does not promise without provision. He does not begin without finishing. The season you are stepping into is not random. It is ordained. The preparation you are undergoing is purposeful. The stretching you feel is necessary. You are not behind. You are not qualified. You are not disqualified. So prepare your heart, prepare your mind, prepare your spirit. Let go of what was so you can receive what will be. God is calling you into a new season. What's next will require faith, obedience, and trust. But it will also reveal His glory, His power, and His goodness in ways you have never experienced before. Step forward with confidence, knowing that the one who called you is faithful and He will do it. Recognizing the call of a new season is the first and most crucial step in responding to God's invitation for growth and transformation. Life is full of transitions, some subtle and some dramatic, and each transition is an opportunity for God to shape and elevate us in ways that align with His divine plan. A new season is rarely announced with fanfare. It often begins as a quiet stirring in your spirit, a sense that what once satisfied you no longer does, or a growing restlessness that you cannot ignore. It may manifest as dissatisfaction with your current circumstances, a desire for deeper purpose, or a longing for something more meaningful than what your present reality offers. This stirring is God's way of signaling that He is about to take you from one stage of life to another. And the first step is to recognize it for what it is, a divine call. Recognizing the call requires attentiveness and spiritual sensitivity. Many people live their lives reacting to circumstances rather than discerning the season they are in. They cling to the familiar, resist change, and interpret discomfort as a problem rather than a prompt from God. Yet, every season in life carries a unique assignment, and God's timing is perfect. The call to a new season is often communicated through subtle shifts in your life. Closed doors, delayed opportunities, new desires, or even sudden challenges that disrupt your routine. These signs are not random. They are intentional nudges designed to awaken your awareness and prepare your heart for what is ahead. By tuning into these signals, you can begin to understand that God is speaking and that something new is on the horizon. The call of a new season is often accompanied by a sense of urgency and purpose. It is as though God is saying, "Pay attention, move forward. I am about to do something significant in your life." Recognizing this call means that you must stop looking backward and start positioning yourself for the future. Many people fail to embrace new seasons because they are too attached to the past. They try to hold on to old successes, relationships, or routines, believing that what worked before will continue to sustain them. However, God's plan is dynamic, and what once brought you fulfillment may no longer be sufficient. Recognizing the call involves understanding that your past served its purpose, and now God is inviting you to step into a different phase that requires new faith, new strategies, and a new mindset. Spiritual discernment is key to recognizing the call of a new season. It involves seeking God's guidance through prayer, meditation, and reflection on His Word. God often speaks through His Word, through quiet impressions in your heart, or through wise counsel from others who understand His ways. When you actively seek His direction, you cultivate the ability to perceive His voice amidst the noise of life. This discernment allows you to distinguish between temporary impulses, worldly distractions, and the true call of God. Recognizing the call is not simply about sensing change. It is about aligning your heart with God's intention for that change and being willing to respond in obedience. Part of recognizing the call is also understanding that a new season is a time of transition that may bring uncertainty. Fear and doubt often arise when God calls us to something unfamiliar. The unknown can feel intimidating, and it is natural to question whether you are ready or capable of stepping into a new role or opportunity. However, recognizing the call means acknowledging these fears while choosing to trust God's plan above your own understanding. Faith is required to see beyond the immediate circumstances and to perceive the greater purpose that God has in store. Every significant move in life, every promotion, every breakthrough, every moment of divine favor requires first recognizing the call and responding in faith. Another important aspect of recognizing the call is learning to listen to the patterns in your life. God often speaks through seasons themselves, and understanding the rhythm of your personal journey is essential. Sometimes He closes certain doors so that you can see where He is opening new ones. Sometimes He allows challenges or disruptions to shake you from complacency, prompting you to pay attention to what truly matters. By observing these patterns and interpreting them spiritually, you gain clarity on what God is signaling and how to prepare for what lies ahead. Recognizing the call is therefore an active process. It is not passive waiting, but engaged awareness, reflection, and discernment. Recognizing the call of a new season also requires an openness to change. God rarely invites us into a new chapter without asking us to leave something behind. This may be a mindset, a habit, a relationship, or even a dream that has outlived its purpose. Being able to discern what is temporary versus what is permanent is crucial. The call is not always comfortable, and it often challenges us to step outside of our comfort zones. Yet, when we respond with willingness and trust, we position ourselves to receive the blessings and opportunities that God has prepared. Recognizing the call is about embracing both the discomfort of leaving the old and the excitement of stepping into the new. Ultimately, recognizing the call of a new season is an act of faith. It is acknowledging that God is actively involved in your life and that He desires to lead you into greater growth, purpose, and fulfillment. It requires attentiveness to His voice, sensitivity to His timing, and courage to step forward even when the path is unclear. By recognizing the call, you begin the process of aligning your heart, mind, and spirit with God's will. You stop clinging to what was and start preparing for what is to come. Recognition is the doorway to transformation, and without it, the blessings and opportunities of the next season may pass unnoticed. When you truly recognize the call, you gain clarity, focus, and hope. You begin to see your life as a series of purposeful seasons rather than random events. You start to anticipate growth, embrace change, and respond with faith. This awareness is not just intellectual, it is spiritual, emotional, and practical. It affects the way you think, the choices you make, and the way you engage with the world around you. Recognizing the call of a new season is the first step toward fulfilling God's plan for your life, and it sets the stage for the preparation and transformation that are necessary to walk boldly into what He has prepared. Preparation for what's next always involves letting go, and this is one of the most challenging aspects of moving into a new season. Change can be uncomfortable even when we know it is necessary. The human tendency is to cling to what is familiar, what has provided comfort, or what has proven successful in the past. Yet God calls us to release these things because they cannot hold what He is about to pour into our lives. The metaphor of new wine and old wine skins illustrates this truth perfectly. Old wine skins, no matter how strong they appear, are limited in their capacity. If new wine is poured into them, they will burst. Similarly, holding on to old habits, relationships, or mindsets while stepping into a new season can prevent the fullness of God's plan from manifesting. To receive what is coming, we must first make space by letting go of what no longer serves the purpose of our growth. Letting go does not always mean that what we release is wrong or bad. Often what we are asked to release is good but no longer appropriate for the next stage of our journey. A job, a friendship, or even a personal routine may have served a purpose in a past season, providing growth, learning, or stability. However, what was once beneficial can become a limitation if it binds us to the past. God's timing is perfect, and He often calls us to release what was so we can fully embrace what is coming. This requires discernment, understanding that not everything we must let go of is a loss. Some things are merely tools, bridges, or lessons meant to prepare us for the next chapter. Releasing the old can be emotionally challenging because it often involves loss or uncertainty. Fear can arise when we think about stepping away from something familiar, even if it is holding us back. Questions like, "What if I fail?" or "What if I lose this opportunity forever?" can paralyze us. Yet God asks us to trust Him and understand that His plan is bigger than our current comfort. Letting go is not an act of despair. It is an act of faith. It demonstrates our trust in God's ability to provide, guide, and protect us as we transition into a new season. When we release, we are not giving up. We are making room for God to fill our lives with something greater than what we have left behind. One of the most common areas where people struggle to release is in relationships. Some friendships, partnerships, or even family connections may have been positive in the past, but may now hinder growth or create distractions. God may call you to establish boundaries, step away from unhealthy patterns, or redirect your energy toward relationships that align with your new season. This does not mean you stop loving people or that you become indifferent. It means prioritizing what is necessary for the fulfillment of God's plan in your life. Releasing relationships that no longer serve your purpose creates the space for new connections, guidance, and support that will carry you forward in the season God is calling you into. Habits and mindsets are also critical areas to examine when preparing for a new season. Old thought patterns, routines, or behaviors may have been helpful in the past, but they can limit progress if they are no longer aligned with God's plan. Negative thinking, self-doubt, procrastination, or fear-based decisions must be replaced with faith, confidence, and intentionality. Letting go of these internal barriers is just as important as releasing external circumstances. The mind must be renewed, and the heart must be realigned to receive what God is offering. When the internal landscape is cleared of limiting thoughts and behaviors, we create fertile ground for new opportunities, wisdom, and guidance to take root and flourish. Releasing the old often requires courage and intentionality. It is a conscious decision to stop holding on to the past and to step forward into the unknown. God does not call us to drift aimlessly. He calls us to move with purpose. Letting go is an act of obedience, demonstrating our willingness to trust Him even when we cannot see the full picture. In this process, prayer and reflection are essential. Seeking God's guidance allows us to discern what must be released and what should remain. It also provides the strength to move forward without regret or hesitation. The act of letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration that we trust God's plan more than our own comfort or understanding. Sometimes releasing the old involves surrendering not only physical things or relationships, but also expectations and dreams. Not all plans and desires align with God's timing, and holding on to them can create resistance to the new season He is preparing. Letting go of outdated expectations opens the door to greater alignment with God's purpose. What we imagine as our best may pale in comparison to what God has planned. And the willingness to release our own agendas is a hallmark of spiritual maturity and readiness for the next chapter. The process of releasing the old also teaches patience. God may not immediately replace what is removed, but the removal itself is part of the preparation. Empty space is necessary to receive new blessings, insights, and opportunities. During this period, faith becomes active as we learn to trust that God's provision will come at the right time and in the right way. Letting go is not the end, it is the prelude to fulfillment, a necessary clearing of the way so that God can move unhindered. Ultimately, releasing the old to make room for the new is a spiritual practice that prepares the soul, mind, and heart for the next season of life. It is a conscious decision to surrender what no longer serves your purpose, whether it is habits, relationships, mindsets, or even past achievements. By letting go, you demonstrate trust in God. Align yourself with His timing and position yourself to receive the fullness of what He has prepared. The new season will require space, focus, and readiness, and releasing the old is the essential first step. When you embrace this principle with faith and obedience, you make room for God to pour new opportunities, blessings, and growth into your life in ways you could not have imagined. Before God changes your position, He changes your heart. This is a principle that cannot be overstated. True transformation begins on the inside. Many people desire promotion, opportunity, or breakthrough. But without internal preparation, external success can be fleeting. God's work in a person's life is always holistic. He does not simply move you to a new position or give you new responsibilities. He first ensures that your character, faith, and perspective are aligned with the demands of the season ahead. The preparation season is largely internal, and it requires patience, humility, and a willingness to be molded in ways that may feel uncomfortable at the time. What God is doing inside of you often goes unnoticed by others, yet it is the foundation upon which every external manifestation will stand. Internal preparation often begins with character development. God cannot entrust responsibility to someone whose character is weak or inconsistent. Integrity, humility, patience, and perseverance are not optional traits. They are essential. A promotion, a new ministry, or a divine assignment requires a heart that is steady under pressure and faithful in the unseen. The internal season tests these qualities. It challenges pride, exposes impatience, and stretches endurance. While you may feel overlooked, delayed, or even undervalued, these experiences are refining you. They are shaping a character capable of stewarding greater responsibility. Without this refinement, even the greatest opportunity can lead to failure or disappointment. God's internal work ensures that when the new season arrives, you are ready not just for what you will do, but for how you will handle it. Faith is another critical area of internal preparation. Faith grows most in seasons of uncertainty, trial, and waiting. When everything seems uncertain and the future unclear, God is cultivating trust in Him. Faith is not simply believing that things will work out. It is confidence in God's timing, wisdom, and provision. In this season, you are learning to trust God for things you cannot yet see. External success often comes with visibility, responsibility, and expectations. But internal faith gives you the strength to endure the pressures that accompany those blessings. God uses this season to deepen your reliance on Him, teaching you to seek His guidance daily, to listen attentively to His voice, and to act with confidence rooted in His promises rather than in your own understanding. Healing is a significant part of internal preparation. God's next season may require freedom from past pain, disappointments, or regrets. Unhealed wounds can distort perspective, impair judgment, and limit effectiveness. Part of preparing internally is allowing God to bring healing to your emotional, spiritual, and even relational life. This may involve forgiveness, releasing people who hurt you or situations that cause pain. It may require repentance, humility, or letting go of guilt or shame that has weighed you down. The process of healing is often unseen, but it is critical. God cannot fully release you into your next season if your heart is still burdened with what should have been left behind. Healing clears the path and ensures that your foundation is stable for what is to come. Deepening dependence on God is another essential aspect of internal preparation. In a new season, responsibilities will increase, challenges will intensify, and solutions will not always be found in human effort. God uses the internal preparation season to teach you that your strength alone is insufficient. You must learn to depend on Him for wisdom, guidance, and provision. This dependence transforms your perspective from self-reliance to God-reliance. You begin to understand that every success, every opportunity, and every victory is ultimately a result of partnership with Him. The internal preparation season cultivates humility and teaches that your abilities, talents, and even hard work are instruments for God's glory, not the sole source of your advancement. Reflection and self-awareness are also vital during this season. God may be asking you to examine your motives, values, and priorities. What drives your decisions? Are your ambitions aligned with His will, or are they rooted in personal gain? Internal preparation often involves introspection, prayer, and the willingness to be honest with oneself. This examination is not meant to discourage or condemn, but to realign your heart with God's purposes. By becoming aware of your internal state, you can release attitudes, fears, or behaviors that would hinder your progress and embrace qualities that will enable you to thrive in the next season. Patience is cultivated in internal preparation. God's timing is perfect, and He often delays external breakthroughs to ensure internal readiness. Waiting can feel frustrating, especially when you see others moving ahead or when your desires feel urgent. However, impatience can lead to premature decisions or missteps that derail your progress. Internal preparation teaches you endurance and trust. You learn to hold on to God's promises without rushing the process, confident that He is orchestrating every detail behind the scenes. The discipline of waiting, when paired with faith, produces maturity, resilience, and wisdom that cannot be gained in a rush. Internal preparation is also a period of sharpening vision. God often clarifies purpose, calling, and direction. In this stage, you gain insight into the responsibilities, opportunities, and challenges of the season ahead. Through prayer, study, and reflection, He illuminates the path forward and equips you with the mental and spiritual tools you will need. While the external manifestation of the season has not yet arrived, you are already being positioned to respond effectively. Preparation is not passive. It is active growth and training, ensuring that when the door opens, you are ready to walk through with confidence. Ultimately, internal preparation is about transformation. God is reshaping your heart, renewing your mind, and equipping your spirit. It is preparing you to handle more, endure more, and achieve more in alignment with His will. External success without internal maturity leads to collapse. God's goal is not to elevate you temporarily, but to establish you permanently. This season of internal preparation may feel hidden, slow, or even uncomfortable, but it is essential. When you embrace it, you emerge stronger, wiser, and fully ready to step into the new season with faith, clarity, and confidence. A new season will always require faith, and stepping forward despite fear is one of the most important principles in responding to God's call. Fear often shows up when purpose is near. It is a natural human response to uncertainty, change, and the unknown. When God is about to open a new door, you may feel unqualified, uncertain, or overwhelmed by the responsibilities and challenges ahead. Your mind may raise doubts. Am I ready for this? Can I handle what's coming? What if I fail? These fears are not signs that you should stop. They are signals that you are on the edge of growth. Fear is often the companion of opportunity because anything worth pursuing requires courage, trust, and reliance on God. The presence of fear is not a reason to retreat. It is an invitation to move forward with faith. Faith is not waiting until you feel ready. It is stepping forward because God has spoken even when confidence is lacking. Too often people delay action until they believe they are fully prepared or fully capable. Yet God does not call the equipped, He equips the call. The preparation He provides is ongoing and unfolds as you act in obedience. Every great move of faith in history was taken by someone who felt inadequate, unprepared, or unsure, but who trusted God more than their fear. Faith is the bridge between God's promise and your current reality. Without faith, opportunity passes by unnoticed and potential remains dormant. Fear often manifests in the form of self-doubt. You may compare yourself to others and feel that you fall short. You may think your skills, resources, or experience are insufficient. These thoughts can paralyze you, causing hesitation or inaction. God, however, reminds us repeatedly that human limitations do not restrict His power. He equips, strengthens, and empowers those He calls. When you step forward in faith, you are not relying solely on your own ability. You are relying on God's guidance, provision, and presence. This shift from self-dependence to God-dependence is essential for successfully navigating a new season. Faith also requires persistence. In the face of uncertainty, Often a new season does not begin with clarity or complete understanding. The path ahead may be unclear, and the challenges may seem daunting. It is in these moments that faith must be intentional. Stepping forward in faith does not mean that the road will be easy. It means that you choose to trust God and take action even when the outcome is not visible. Each step, no matter how small, is significant. God honors movement that is rooted in obedience, even when circumstances appear unfavorable. Faith is active, not passive. It is walking into the unknown with God as your guide. Taking steps forward despite fear also involves embracing risk. Fear often arises because of the potential for failure, rejection, or discomfort. God does not remove risk from faith. He transforms it into opportunity. Every new season has its challenges, but every challenge is an opportunity for growth. The risk of stepping out is outweighed by the reward of obedience and the fulfillment of God's purpose. The key is trust. Believing that God is faithful to guide, sustain, and provide even in situations that feel precarious. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting in alignment with God's will despite fear. Another important element of stepping forward in faith is aligning action with God's timing. Fear often tempts us to wait too long, to hesitate until circumstances appear perfect. Yet God's timing is intentional, and waiting for the perfect moment can lead to missed opportunities. Faith involves recognizing the moments He opens and responding promptly, even if readiness feels incomplete. God's provision accompanies action, and He often reveals strength, wisdom, and resources as you move. Waiting in fear is different from waiting in faith. Faith is active. It seeks God, takes initiative, and moves courageously when the call is clear. Support and prayer are critical components of moving forward despite fear. Surrounding yourself with encouragement, guidance, and accountability strengthens your resolve. Sharing your intentions with those who understand your purpose provides both wisdom and reinforcement when fear threatens to dominate your decisions. Prayer, on the other hand, connects you to the ultimate source of courage. Through prayer, you receive clarity, peace, and assurance that God is with you, guiding your steps. Fear loses its power when faith is anchored in a personal relationship with God. Faith also requires focusing on God's promises rather than current circumstances. Fear thrives on uncertainty and what is visible, while faith focuses on what God has said and on His ability to fulfill it. Reflecting on past experiences where God has been faithful builds confidence for future steps. Meditating on His promises creates resilience and strengthens resolve. Faith is sustained not by sight, but by trust. And trust grows as you remember that God has never failed you in the past. Stepping forward despite fear is transformative. Every act of obedience, even when accompanied by fear, strengthens courage, deepens trust, and prepares you for future challenges. Each step forward builds momentum, and every challenge overcome increases confidence in God's provision. Fear will likely continue to appear, but repeated acts of faith diminish its power. The more you act in faith, the more fear loses its grip and the more you experience God's faithfulness firsthand. Ultimately, moving forward in faith despite fear is a declaration that God's plan is greater than your comfort zone. It demonstrates trust in His timing, His provision, and His wisdom. The next season will require courage, perseverance, and unwavering trust. And fear will always test the depth of your faith. But each step you take, guided by obedience and confidence in God, positions you to receive the blessings, opportunities, and growth He has prepared. Fear may be present, but it does not have to control your actions. Faith is stronger. Faith moves, and faith opens the doors that fear wants to keep closed. Sustaining a new season requires alignment, and this is one of the most important, yet often overlooked aspects of stepping into what God has prepared. Alignment means ensuring that every area of your life, your priorities, relationships, habits, and daily decisions matches the direction God is leading you. A new season can bring incredible opportunities, blessings, and responsibilities. But if your life is out of alignment with God's purposes, those opportunities can lead to distraction, frustration, or even failure. God often shifts your circle, refocuses your mind, and adjusts your routine so that your life is positioned to carry what He is about to release. Alignment is not just a concept, it is an active, intentional process that protects purpose, maximizes effectiveness, and ensures that you are ready to thrive in the new season. One of the first areas where alignment is necessary is in your priorities. God calls us to invest in what truly matters. And a new season often requires a reevaluation of where your time, energy, and attention are being spent. Priorities that were appropriate in one season may no longer serve your current purpose. You may need to reprioritize your work, your ministry, your family, or your personal growth to match what God is calling you into. This can be challenging because it often involves letting go of good things to focus on the best things. Alignment of priorities ensures that you are not overextended or distracted by activities that do not advance the season God is leading you toward. It helps you focus on what will produce lasting impact and eternal significance. Relationships are another critical area where alignment is essential. God often repositions people in our lives, bringing some close, sending others away, and connecting us with new individuals who will support our journey. Not every relationship is meant to continue into the next season. Some friendships or partnerships may have been helpful in the past, but may now create obstacles, distractions, or even conflicts that hinder progress. Aligning your relationships means surrounding yourself with people who encourage, challenge, and strengthen your faith. It also means establishing boundaries with those who may inadvertently pull you back into an old season or drain your energy. Relationships aligned with God's direction provide mentorship, accountability, and spiritual covering, all of which are essential as you step into new responsibilities and opportunities. Habits and daily routines also require adjustment when entering a new season. Your previous patterns may have supported your growth up to this point, but a new season often demands higher discipline, focus, and intentionality. This could include adjusting how you spend your time, changing your daily spiritual practices, or eliminating habits that are counterproductive to your purpose. God uses this alignment to prepare you to handle greater responsibility without being overwhelmed or distracted. Routines that support spiritual growth, physical health, mental clarity, and relational stability become essential tools for sustaining progress. When your daily actions are aligned with God's direction, you are consistently moving forward instead of spinning your wheels or being pulled in multiple directions. Your mindset and values also need to be aligned. God often shifts our perspective to match the season He is preparing us for. This involves letting go of limiting beliefs, outdated attitudes, and fears that may have held you back. Alignment requires humility and openness to change, as God challenges you to think differently, act differently, and respond differently to opportunities and obstacles. By aligning your mindset with God's purposes, you cultivate resilience, discernment, and clarity. You learn to approach challenges as opportunities, setbacks as lessons, and change as a signal of God's movement rather than a threat. Your internal alignment is as important as external alignment because your perspective shapes every decision and action you take in the new season. Spiritual alignment is perhaps the most critical aspect of sustaining a new season. God calls us to live in accordance with His will, guided by prayer, His Word, and the promptings of the Holy Spirit. Spiritual alignment ensures that your ambitions, actions, and decisions are rooted in God's purposes rather than personal agendas. This requires ongoing communication with God, active listening, and obedience to His guidance. When your spirit is aligned with God, His direction becomes clearer, and you are better equipped to respond to challenges and opportunities with wisdom and confidence. Spiritual alignment protects you from straying into paths that may seem promising, but ultimately do not fulfill His plan. Alignment also involves flexibility and adaptability. A new season is often unpredictable, and God may shift circumstances, opportunities, or even the timeline of events to refine and prepare you. Being aligned means being willing to adjust without frustration or resistance. It means trusting that God's direction is perfect, even when it requires change or sacrifice. Flexibility allows you to navigate transitions gracefully, maintain focus, and avoid unnecessary conflict or stress. Alignment is not rigid. It is responsive, rooted in obedience, and open to God's leading. Another aspect of alignment is the stewardship of resources. God often entrusts people with more opportunities, influence, and responsibilities in a new season. Proper alignment ensures that you handle these resources wisely, whether they are time, finances, skills, or connections. Misalignment in resource management can create unnecessary obstacles or failures, even when the opportunity itself is divinely appointed. Stewardship aligned with God's direction ensures that everything entrusted to you produces the maximum benefit and glorifies Him in the process. Alignment also protects purpose from distraction and opposition. Every new season will encounter challenges, competing priorities, and sometimes even resistance from others. When your life is aligned with God's direction, you are better able to discern what to pursue and what to ignore. Misalignment, on the other hand, can cause confusion, frustration, or wasted effort on endeavors that do not advance your purpose. Alignment keeps your focus sharp, your steps intentional, and your heart steady, allowing you to move forward without being derailed by unnecessary detours or distractions. Ultimately, aligning your life with God's direction is an ongoing process that requires intentional reflection, prayer, and obedience. It is not a one-time decision, but a continuous posture of surrender. Every area of life, priorities, relationships, habits, mindset, and spiritual practices must be regularly evaluated to ensure harmony with God's plan. This alignment protects purpose, maximizes impact, and positions you to sustain growth and success in the new season. When your life is fully aligned, God can pour His blessings, guidance, and opportunities into your life unhindered. You become a vessel ready to carry His will effectively, confidently, and with clarity.